Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial. Go to audibletrial.com/Rushmore. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Hello and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and guess what? In the house is Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
Let's get ready to bicker. This week's topic that Richard and Michael will debate, as they always debate, the ubiquitous aspects of any given topic. This week's topic is the Mount Rushmore of something you were too young to appreciate yet. So I thought up this topic, and these guys are humoring me. My dad used to allow me just about anything as a young person, and it was an opportunity to be taught, not that I was too young for those things often, and one of those was drinking hot coffee through a straw when I was about 8. And I burned my face, and my dad didn't laugh or chuckle or say, serves you right, you moron. He just kind of let me kind of learn that was something that was too rich and too hot for me to deal with at that time. And my child endangerment...
Your injury is humorous.
My injury was humorous. My tongue had a speech impediment for years to come after that. But that did lead me to thinking of the many things that were too rich for my blood that I encountered as a young person that I would only appreciate later on as an older person. And maybe I have yet to appreciate to their fullest depth. And I wanted to get to know Richard and Michael, the Hom twins, a little bit more.
I think before we started recording, we were both kind of saying, I don't know if I understand what Jeff was saying, and probably should have asked a question in the Facebook group.
This is what the Facebook group is for, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of, it's funny because I interpreted it as something, well, I guess it's tough because you seem to have described an experience that you've had with something that you would eventually come to appreciate.
Most of my actual choices would be in arts and literature and things like that.
I think my choices are something that I am not old enough yet to appreciate fully.
And mine are more things that I do now, but I didn't at the time.
So we're going to be a little bit all over the place, I think, today.
I love
To
it.
quote Bob Dylan.
Okay.
To quote Bob Dylan, I was so much younger or older then. I'm younger than that now.
Younger.
But this
than
is
that
great
now.
that we have a judge to the kind of, in you, Jeff, that will...
Yeah.
So actually, my 4 choices, I just chose the Rushmore of nautical themes. So I was way off base on this one. I don't know how that happened.
Wait, not asphyxiate.
No, nautical.
Okay.
Nautical.
Okay. All right, so I chose it. Michael, you showed up at the Rushmore taping studios first, so you go first.
whatever the fuck Brandy is.
Oh.
Like, I know
She was a
girl.
very popular R&B singer in the 90s.
I know what Brandy is like.
There's a port on the western...
Also on my list, port.
Port. Okay, all right.
Just the idea of like the dessert drink or the dessert, because we've both all drunk our fair share of booze over the years.
I've tippled a time or two.
But like to sit,
less so aperitifs and
to
things
sit
like
down with like a brandy or to sit down with like a port. It's just like I don't feel like, in spite of my experience of drinking, I still don't feel like I am old enough to like appreciate that
would say
sort
you-
of thing. Whenever like a booze becomes like some sort of dessert, I think, oh, that is like I'm not there yet.
What about dessert wine?
No, it's
Is that the same thing?
yeah. Like I've had like an Icelandic like sweet wine.
Okay.
And it's like,
Yeah, but you probably just had lutefisk, so anything to get the taste out of your mouth would have been good.
Okay, I'm going to pour 2 glasses of port. Drink the first. Now drink the second wearing an ascot. Now do you taste it?
hello, the elegance of it.
You have to wear wealthy clothing.
And suddenly I'm speaking like
Mr. Owl.
Mr. Howell.
What
Lover.
what is your assessment of it?
I don't know. It doesn't.
Do you not like the taste of a port? Because I have to say, I love me a good port after dinner.
I'm not there yet. Like I'm not there to like. I don't know. I never want it. I've had it. I never crave it. It never feels like I want this. It's the same thing with like brandy. Like brandy feels like I'll cook with it, but I don't want to like.
Yeah, I can't say I've had too much brandy in my day, but I've definitely had some ports.
That brings up an interesting observation about the inability for young people's taste buds to process certain tastes or appreciate certain tastes, and knowing that your taste buds change, unless that's an urban myth that your taste,
No,
your
apparently
obviously
every
body
7 years
divides
or so, like a dog.
Oh, really?
Like 7 or 9 years, they say your taste buds kind of adjust or whatever.
That's okay. Well, I would say it reminds me of the fact that I didn't drink wine for a long time, even into my 20s. I just really never had a taste for it, and I really had to acquire it by going to like winery tastings. Then usually you start with the sweet wines, like sweet whites, because that's you're used to drinking, wine coolers or whatever the hell. And you go Bartles and James, sweet whites, regular whites, and then you start to get into some of the reds.
Yeah.
So it reminds me something like that. It's almost something that could have been on one of our lists. I think would be just wine in general. But I mean, maybe you're just not there yet. Maybe
That's the thing is like, I think there might be like God, give me 15 to 20 years and maybe I will enjoy a nice brandy or whatever in the proper glass for sifting in a big leather chair and a hunting lodge somewhere.
You've got a lot of plans for this appetite that you'll have for the brandy.
Yeah, we'll see.
You've got whole outfits and real estate purchases to make.
I got a lot of stuff to do before I can have any of this brandy.
Okay,
so you're gonna have a Big Mac, supersized fries, and then the brandy. That's really the classy way to do it.
I needed this podcast to know what the proper order was.
Yeah, now you know.
So starting off with Michael, the first on Michael's list, which will probably be followed up by 3 different other alcohols, and then moving on to Richard's first.
All right. So my first choice is alone time.
Oh, wow.
So I mentioned this before.
That means wanking it, right?
No. I wasn't an only child. I think I mentioned this on the show before, but I have like a 9-year gap between me and my closest sibling. So basically, I felt like I was an only kid. I was sick a lot, so I stayed home from school quite a bit. That meant I had a lot of time just hanging out by myself. And you know what? That sucked.
Oh.
Just being a kid, you want to be with other kids, and you want to hang out, and you want to do shit. Mm-hmm. And I never, for that reason, the fact I was sick a lot, I just had a lot more time kind of hanging out by myself than like you did if you had siblings or if you got to go out a lot more. But you know what? You flash forward like 30 some years now, and if you could tell me I could have a day where I could do nothing, just no work, no kids, no home projects, no anybody else, I would be over the moon.
Yeah.
Do you know what's crazy is that you would waste it entirely. Like I know that like
explain what waste would be.
Like
wank it to the wrong stuff. You wank it to the wrong stuff.
I agree with you in part. And I think I agree with you in part because I've experienced that feeling of like, okay, I'm going to do nothing today.
Right.
I've had like a day off and I'm just going to hang out. And then it's like by 10 o'clock, I'm like, I feel like there's something that I should be doing. But it's tough because I think, I don't know. I'm very conflicted. I got to think about this for a second.
So what I would say is, I may not say a whole day and a whole night, but I'm to the point as an adult where I'm out with 2 kids and a wife and all the craziness that's in my house.
The tchotchkes
go along with it, toys, stuff like that. That even a couple of hours. If there's for some reason Sarah takes the kids and goes to do something and I'm not going to go do it, and I'm just alone for like an hour and a half, or I work from home sometimes, so I'll have a little bit of a gap maybe before it might be done with work, but before kids and Sarah get home, and it's glorious. It's so quiet.
Do you think as a kid, because you had family around, and do you think that you didn't appreciate that? Is that why that's not here partially?
I think
like in the past, had you not like been like, oh, this is what I need?
I think when you're a kid, you're constantly fighting against boredom, right? That's like the worst thing that could happen to you as a kid is being bored. And nothing seems more boring than a kid than being by yourself. I think when you're an adult, you know, it's almost like the constant search for happiness is boredom. Like you want peace and quiet. That's what people go and not everyone, but a lot of people go and retire for. For every person that goes and says, "I'm going to retire and I'm going to go, sail the world in my own yacht." It's like, yeah, most people just hang out and watch Judge Judy, and that's okay.
I heard the term, what the term was explained to me the first time of FOMO today. Never.
Oh, really? You never heard that before?
Yeah, it sounds like you have. LOMO, like love of missing out.
I would love to miss out on so much stuff.
That is one of the best things to do is to not go to a party.
It's pretty good.
It's really high up there when like even if your excuse is because I don't want to,
Right.
or just like no, I'm just not gonna go. Knowing that all of your friends are at one party and then you're just like away is kind of like, fuck yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
I didn't fall into the peer pressure of being around all that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you when you talked about silence being glorious?
Yeah.
Would you though probably turn on some sports and fill that silence with something once you've mastered that silence?
This is like a hyperbaric chamber sort of being alone.
Right.
This is like just enjoying your own
space. Yeah, and I might not. I might just kind of hang out and read or something like that.
Right, Walden Part 2.
Right, Walden, the urban Walden.
The urban Walden. Okay, Michael, what's your second?
golf.
Oh, wow.
Golf sucks. Golf, I think it's. I'm amazed that so many people gravitate towards it. I've used to play with my dad a little bit. We'd go to like the 9-hole pitch and putt down on like Witsit, and I had my own clubs, and we'd go. And
Michael, that's a mini golf course.
that's why it was so fun.
Yeah.
Hit the windmill, go through the tunnel, and the big swinging deal. No, but we used to go and play, and like it was fine. And I never I did it because he like enjoyed to do it. He enjoyed playing, and my dad had a very long hiatus in between like him playing golf. And we only did it like as like
his one shot on Mannix.
He only did it like then for a little bit, but now he plays all the time now that he's older. So it's funny to see him graduate into like the traditional old person, old person, whatever, 70 something, playing golf thing that it came out of nowhere.
Is it the sport and its idiosyncrasies? Or is it just...
I think all of it. I'm amazed that he watches as much golf. I'm amazed that you can sit there and watch something that is so slow-paced, that is so...
If I have some alone time, that is what I want. Slow-paced. See?
I think you have to age... I think it's something you have to age into that you can appreciate just how dull it is.
I also grew up playing it, so like...
Yeah. I think, too, it's a sport... and an activity that takes forever. It's not something that you just go in, you play an hour of golf or whatever.
Right.
Like if you're playing a course, it's like a 4-hour, like you're committing half of your day and lunch and everything to this one thing. And I just don't. I'm not there yet to appreciate it.
Okay. When's the last time you played?
My friend Austin invited me out to like a really nice course in like Malibu.
Oh wow.
A few years ago. It was really painful to do. To play a full 18-hole real golf course when you haven't played in 15 years.
At some point, did you just ask to drive the cart around in circles
I
and
was
go,
just,
wee?
By the end of it, my back was destroyed, my arms were destroyed, my neck was, like, all of it, like, any sort of form that I used to have or know was gone.
Right.
And it's just like, it all hairs. It tingles. Like I can't stand this. I think that they should adjust golf. I've been thinking about this.
Okay.
They should put a shot clock on there. You should be teamed up with someone.
This seems like a Sinbad comedy routine.
No. They should be like, you have to complete this course with your partner or whatever in under 2 hours.
Have you ever seen speed golf?
Is that a thing?
The whole point of it is to try and shoot as low a round as possible in as little time as possible. So guys are literally just running like full sprints.
That's what golf should be. You should be running to your golf ball to hit it.
And the other guy should be able to tackle you.
Well,
yeah,
that goes without saying.
Maybe robot speed golf for the NES.
It does sound like Baseball Simulator 2000
that's what I want.
Cyber War or something.
I don't know.
Cyberball.
I think that there is just the leisure aspect of this sport. I think leisure sport is a weird combination.
Yeah.
And I'm not there. I can't appreciate it yet.
Richard,
maybe one day.
But real quick, Virgo, how many beers did you have on your last golfing trip?
Not that many.
There's your problem.
Well,
we have identified your problem. Yeah. Okay, so my second one is being good at something. So when you're a kid, or even when you're a teenager, you always have this ability to try new things, and I mean, you have that as an adult as well, and it's probably something that all of us should probably do more of. But what you don't have as an adult, for the most part, is the idea that you might try something new and be like really good at it, and that it could be something that you can do with your life. I mean, I think part of this comes from the idea as an adult, you just have a better understanding of what you're good at. So as a kid, I could list probably a dozen things that like I thought I was good at.
Yeah, on this podcast, you often list the things that you used to be good at too.
And I used to think, and they're the things that I really have. I have a real talent for this, and if I just worked at it, I could do this for a living.
Was it? Or where did you get that sense
Where
of
did you
your?
get
Where'd
that
you get that idea that you
Whoever
could be
told
good
you
at
you were
something?
good?
Wait a second.
That's not what my dad was like.
What's going on here?
Was it in comparison to the accomplishments of other kids your age, or was it an adult saying, "Oh, you're good at this," or you can do whatever you want?
I don't know.
But you didn't feel that way about everything. There's some things you felt like, "Oh, I'm never going to be good at."
I guess. I mean, I guess it was just stuff that. Yeah, I guess there's probably stuff that I was good at naturally.
But the optimism,
It's the optimism of it. It's that idea that even thinking like, I bet I could be a race car driver if when I get old enough to drive. I could probably do that. That seems like something I could do. That seems realistic. And then when you're an adult, you start to realize it's like, no, you were just okay at it.
Yeah.
You were never talented enough that you were going to go do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's okay. Because finding even one thing that you're good at as an adult and getting to do it is pretty good.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
That's what college is for. That's what happened with me. Like, I wanted to, I was like into comic books since I was like 11, 12 years old, something like that. And I knew that I wanted to
Draw.
I wanted to be a comic book artist.
Okay.
I knew, I took art classes, had art classes in high school. I knew I wanted to go to college to draw comics and I got to college and was like, oh, I'm not very good. Oh, none of these classes, I can't do that.
Oh.
All these life drawing classes were like, it immediately kicked my butt and made me realize like, oh, I like to draw. I'm not artistic in that way. And immediately, like, I went for 4 years of like art school study and stuff. And then by the end was like, oh, this isn't for me. I can't do this. It's interesting when like the university is there to either enhance what you do or to just like really, come correct and be like, you do not do this.
I learned that lesson about my art when I tried to do the turtle on the back of the thing, and they sent it off.
Yeah,
they just sent it back. They sent it back to me and said, "Nope, that's all that's written on it."
So you drew the rabbit really well. Welcome to our art school.
There's supposed to be a turtle. Yeah, whatever. Where's your money? I think that's a really good point. I think maybe I said that it was being good at something, but I think what it really comes down to is the optimism of being great at something.
Yeah.
You get to be an adult that's like, your limitations.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, you have no concept of the limitations of like what's realistic for you to do or not be able to do.
We didn't know we were engaging in a real life vocational aptitude test by doing things and then having them checked off as
Nope.
Nope.
Yep, that's not happening.
I also found that there's like your perception. You were yet to be disavowed of your artistic talent because you're probably the best in your school, your high school, or something. Like I think of athletes who are all state in high school, and they get to college and they realize they don't start at college, and then they're never going to make it to the NFL. So I think by the time you were swimming in that bigger pond of talent, that's when you realize you're not keeping up as much.
Yeah, I think it kind of, some things act as, it's either like a pencil sharpener or kind of like, it grinds you down to the point where you're really refined and good, or just grinds you down to the point where you're a nub and you're nothing.
Yeah.
And if you can survive that sort of grind to being something where you're like, oh, I'm a fine-tuned tool now, it's great. But if at some point you're like, oh, I've been put through the ringer and I don't know what.
These college art classes sound like the nerd version of that movie Whiplash.
It's funny. It wasn't even that bad.
Not just my temper.
It's not. That's funny. It's not that bad. It was just like partly. I know we're off on a tangent here. Is like I would be in art classes with people that were like real artists that thought differently.
Did they have berets on?
Yeah.
Smell of French cigarettes.
That had just like an approach to whatever the assignment was, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
you think differently.
Yeah.
And you do things in a much more artistic way than this literal bird cage that I just drew.
Yeah.
When they did the fruit, the nectarines actually look like peaches.
I did discover that every talent I pursued was ultimately a performance talent, or I would try to make it thus. So if I was drawing something, I would draw it to the end that I knew I wanted to go show it to somebody and get approval based on showing it to somebody. It wasn't about my relationship with art or like me falling in love with the subject or enjoying the medium or enjoying new artistic things. It was always, I can get approval for this. My brother's good at sports. I'm good at drawing. And
Yeah,
I can
look how
get
good I can draw Spider-Man.
Yeah. So I would
Yeah,
never.
that looks like Spider-Man. Good job. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you did a great job. Why don't you tear it up and start again? No, I need to be able to look at this. It's not personal development. Okay. So, hey, we're at our halftime, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the Mount Rushmore podcast. Our topic is Mount Rushmore of something you were too young to appreciate yet. And we would like to invite you to suggest a topic by going to our Facebook page or finding us out on Twitter or Instagram and letting us know a topic you'd like for us to consider. You could even be a guest on the show. You don't have to be, but you could be if you suggest a topic. Or you could go out there and let us know what we missed in discussions of any other topic. You could download, rate, and review our podcasts on iTunes and Stitcher and leave us a star amount between 1 and 5 is appropriate. Groups of 10 or more, you must leave a 5-star review. And you can also support other podcasts. We'd appreciate it if you did. And here's one of those podcasts that we'd like you to support.
Woo! All right, welcome to Dictionary, the podcast with Jane and
Aaron.
Each week we look up a random word relating to we look up
A random word.
and then we look up
No, we just look at the random
Oh,
word.
and then we research any topic vaguely relating to that word. And then here's the catch. We have to relate it back to sex. It is a semi-educational, fully sex-positive podcast.
Also, we'd like to give you something. It's summer, it's sitting by the pool and reading a good book, but you could read it or you could listen to it by going to audibletrial.com/Rushmore and downloading a free book on us. Well, it's really on Audible, but it's for you, the listeners of the Mount Rushmore podcast. You could choose from 180,000 different titles, while you might pick Adventures in My Youth, a German soldier on the Eastern Front, from 1941 to 1945, read by Armin Scheiderbauer. I think it's something that maybe a Nazi wrote.
I didn't appreciate the Nazis as much when I was a kid.
No, you didn't appreciate
still
those
don't.
guys.
No.
Like Indiana Jones was beating them up, and you're like, yeah, it must be easy. There must be pushovers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you could download that or 180,000 other titles for your Android, iPhone, Kindle, or MP3 player. If you don't like the book, that's fine. If you don't like Rushmore, that's fine. You can cancel at any time and still keep the book after the 30-day free trial. It's all yours. It's all yours. So we'd love for you to take advantage of this offer because it makes a little bit of a donation to our podcast, and we keep bringing you this fine content that you're used to.
You're not supposed to laugh while you're saying that, Jeff.
Sorry.
It kind of undercuts everything.
You know what? I don't think I appreciate here in my height of youth. You guys.
Oh.
I mean, I love you guys, but not to the extent I think I should.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's right.
No, because you guys are the best guys.
Well,
Yeah, but which one's better?
yeah, that's the question.
Well, we'll find out.
We're here to find out.
We'll find out. Okay, so, all right. Okay, so Michael is going to give us his third choice.
Mine is a bit more, it's Social Security, guys. And I think I'm going to be, I know for a fact I'm currently too young to appreciate it. And I know for a fact that when, in 2034, when it becomes insolvent, I'll still be too young to appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll be 55. That's a real fucking bummer.
Yeah.
That we're at a point where, like, man,
Thanks a lot, greatest generation. Thanks a lot, yuppie or baby boomers.
it's really it really is kind of maddening. Just the concept is wonderful. Thank you, FDR, who's now rolling over in his grave. But like, it's this thing that you pay into your entire adult working life that you're like, okay, the government's going to help out a little bit when you get to the point when maybe you need a little bit more help. And like the people that just run it are they're so bad. They're so bad at keeping it afloat and having funded it when they can find money to fund
the
whatever.
government. Am I right?
It's a weird thing. I think we're in a very interesting age right now where there's a lot of talk of like social democrats online and like a burgeoning kind of socialism in a way that's kind of been happening in America and around the world certainly. And to have this thing that's like, okay, well let's just shore this thing up for all the people that's this government program that doesn't maybe work efficiently, but there's something there that I know that I will appreciate it at some point, or I will take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating that there's this knowledge out there. That, like Richard said, there is a generation of people who basically are going to get theirs, but not really do anything to help out whatever is coming next, which kind of just goes against the entire concept of what it is.
It's almost like the way insurance should work versus the way that some political parties think that it should work.
Yeah.
Almost very similar to that, don't you think? The way that, everyone gets insurance, so therefore everyone's covered. That way the people who need the coverage can get it without like having to go into bankruptcy. Strange concept.
It's infuriating. And I know that like when I'm 55 and this thing goes insolvent, maybe it'll be cleared up by then. Probably not. I don't know. I can't foresee. You know what it is? Maybe it's just like it's people that just keep punching the ball until they finally have to deal with it, and then eventually they'll deal with it.
Yeah.
And I can see just the future of that, and that's infuriating. And maybe I won't care as much, or maybe there will be just a change. But it's just like right now, looking at it 15 years out, 16 years out, you're just like,
Okay, Richard, your third.
All right, so my third one is good shoes. And look, I mainly wore Chuck Taylors when I was growing up.
oh, sure.
Really what I wore were like the Payless bootleg, cheap-ass $10 versions of Chuck Taylors.
Yeah.
And, just face it, Chuck Taylors aren't that comfortable, actually, to begin with. Like, when you wear them for a while, your feet hurt.
Yeah.
But when
They're not engineered to be worn daily. They're just these flat things that look cool.
I guess. But when you have the cut rate version of those things that kind of suck to begin with, woof. But, when you're a kid,
Hi, I'm Joey Ramone. When you wear Chuck Taylors for your entire musical career, you can develop flat feet. It also doesn't help when you're 7'3" and you look like a Popeye character. I just want to warn you, don't just wear Chuck Taylors. Wear Crocs. Ooh.
We're getting visited by all sorts of spooks.
Was Joey Ramone on the Mount Rushmore? On Mount Rushmore?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So when you're a kid, you don't have like a concept of your feet hurting. You just go out and you play, and then you just come home. You don't think about it. But now it's like, forget it. I don't want any part of it. My feet hurt. I go to work and I stand for all of like 10 minutes during the day, and I have to walk a couple of blocks to get to and from like a bus stop. Mm-hmm. My footsies are hurting, boys.
You have so
insert.
much beard weight right now.
That's also true.
Yeah.
It is disproportionately throwing my weight forward and down.
Chiropractor might suggest shaving off the front part of it or
Just
something.
the front part.
Yeah.
Just maybe like a goatee.
Yeah.
And then putting that in your shoes as an insult.
So, I still wear like my Walmart jeans and whatever t-shirt happens to be, somewhat clean to be able to wear. But I still have to insist on getting stylish and comfortable shoes. Because even for the stylish part of it, it's like it can make like a kind of schlubby looking outfit look like, oh, but he's got good looking shoes on. Maybe that's all part of this normcore thing. But he's got good looking shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And, by the way, a bonus shout out to shoe inserts, by the way. I started wearing them last year. It makes so much of a difference. treat your feet right, folks. This has been a message by the sponsored by the National Podiatrist Council.
For all those fans out there who are trying to figure out who was the dreamy one, the smart one, or who the sexy one is,
I think you
All three rolled into one. Jeff and I are just like, Say's like, why did we get all three of those?
How recent was this?
the shoe thing. Mm-hmm. Probably. Oh gosh, probably not until I hit my 30s.
Okay.
So fairly recently that I kind of came around on the idea of if I need dress shoes, don't just go to Target and get whatever, $20 pair that they happen to have on clearance. Go get yourself a nice pair of Steve Maddens or something that's going to be comfortable when you go to that wedding.
Yeah.
Makes a difference. It's amazing. I remember going to kickball tournaments, and I remember our friend Patty, who's been on the show before. I learned this from him. Bring a pair of socks for each game that you think you're going to play. Because we would go to these tournaments, and the ground would be wet and soggy, and your socks would get wet. And he would just get a new pair of socks for each game. Now, that's a little much because Patty's...
A lot of much.
But I would bring a couple extra pairs of socks, and you don't realize even what big of a difference that makes having you have your feet being comfortable and at least dry. So it's like having shoes is kind of like that to the extreme.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Michael, you're fourth.
My last one is senior discount. I'm so stoked for 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when I can take advantage of those sweet discounts on like dining out, going to the movies.
Wait, so you appreciate it, sounds like. Wait, you're anticipating it.
He doesn't appreciate it yet because he can't get it.
Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate the knowledge of it. I anticipate the eventual extra bonus.
Yeah.
It's like Social Security may not be
Will be
there,
gone.
but I got my 15% off going to go see the latest Star Wars Episode 14.
I think you could probably get this now with a Friends of the Zoo card or a Happenings guide or your Burbank Library card. There's probably you could activate these discounts now. I think.
Oh, discounts? Yeah, sure. I mean, I have a zoo card, like I think any sort of dad in LA now does.
Right.
But like, I think there is something uniquely special about like, oh, I'm gonna ride the metro.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be just that much cheaper.
Boys and girls, somebody's going to Sizzler and getting the 6 ounce T-bone.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
whatever
I don't
they
know.
have,
There's something very appealing about that I don't think as a kid you're not into saving money.
No.
As a young
You have
person,
no concept.
Yeah. Like the closest you get is like if you're drinking and it's like happy hour. It's that 5 to 7. Oh, I can get well drinks for $2 or you can get whatever. And you're just like, that is the closest you get as like a young adult.
I had a taste of that.
Senior discount is like it's like, half price nachos.
I think of Denny's as ground zero for that senior discount. And I had a taste of that going on my birthday, which is December 24th. So I was laughing hysterically the whole time because we went to a Denny's and thinking Silmar or something. And it wasn't a nice Denny's.
Oh, versus those classy Denny's, the one in Beverly Hills.
No, the fancy Denny's.
They were on Rodeo Drive.
Denny's. I was at a ghetto Denny's, and Jen hated it. She thought we were going to get stabbed, and I was eating for free because it was my birthday.
Sure.
And I couldn't stop laughing about how wonderful I felt about eating for free at Denny's and how old I've become. So you can...
What time of the day was it too?
It's 10 a.m. Something like that. Yeah.
You got the breakfast.
Nice
okay.
breakfast.
Yeah. So you can experience that all the time, rolling into places that offers that senior discount, that ARP discount. Yeah. That's exciting.
I don't know why. Somehow I got signed up for AARP. I get the newsletters all the time.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, just in the mail. I have no idea what thing that I had signed up for.
Oh, wow.
And it's been like 15 years of like getting like random pieces of mailing for AARP.
That's incredible. Somebody pulled a really great prank on you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Did you fill in the warranty on a vaporizer or something for Felix?
Yeah.
And they assume, okay.
Did you buy a gross bulk of hard butterscotches?
Okay, Richard.
So I'll stay on the food tip here, and I'll say I never appreciated how hard cooking is. So my mom was not a great cook. I don't know, you'd say her food cooking was rustic, which I think is a kind of a nice way of saying Midwestern and kind of boring.
Oh, okay.
But I think she did really well. Like her fried chicken was fantastic, for example, and I still miss it. But more importantly, every night there was something on the table that was warm and filling, and mostly tasted okay.
Yeah.
And I flash forward to today, and now I don't do most of the cooking in the house. That's Sarah. Sarah does that, and I do all the dishes. Which, since we don't have
Sarah's his housekeeper.
Yeah. Since we don't have a dishwasher, I am the dishwasher.
Yes.
Basically. And Sarah hates doing dishes, so it's a fair trade-off. But every once in a while, Sarah's out of town, or she's late at work or something, so I wind up doing the cooking. And boys, it is hard to cook. Wow. That's a tough thing to do. Here, you got to go to school for that if you want to be good at it and everything. Woo.
What aspect of cooking don't you?
Well, here's the thing. It's not that I'm a terrible cook. I mean, I can usually manage my way around a kitchen, and if you give me a recipe, I can follow the recipe and do all that stuff. For me, it's all the time management.
Yeah.
I get screwed up like trying to get it.
Oh,
But if it has multiple parts, like you've got a sauce, then you've got a meat you have to cook,
Yeah.
and they need to be ready at the same time. It's just trying to time that out and get it all to work out right. That is like stress 101 for me. It's just trying to feel like I have to do two things at once. And this needs to be on here for 7 minutes, but this one's only for 3 minutes. But if I don't get this on right away, then it's not going to be ready by. So that's what stresses me out. And maybe part of it is my mom made really basic stuff where she didn't have to worry about like sauces and crap like that. Versus when we cook, it's a little bit, a little more modern.
Yeah. My wife has been purchasing some of the food delivery service things, like a Blue Apron or whatever, and she purchases them because she would like to make me dinner, because I think she feels like that homemaker role is something I would appreciate, and nothing could be further from the truth. I love the meal. I love that she cooks, but I'm such a Philistine when it comes to food that I will eat. And if she bought a crave case of Taco Bell tacos, I would have the same reaction to a home cooked meal. And I hate myself for that. Like, I hate myself that I don't appreciate her more when she wants to do that thing.
Right.
But what I hate even more is when she calls and says, "Hey, I'm going to be home late. Could you get the meal started?" Uh-oh. And I don't fucking want to cook. I hate cooking. And the recipe always says like mince and dice and zest and simmer and then combine. And then it's like, oh, I can do spaghetti and water. That's it.
That's a hell of a meal. Spaghetti and water.
Spaghetti and
Just
water.
sitting in a bowl of water.
Not cooked or
Not
anything.
cooked. Yeah, I'm an a-hole that way. Good chat, you guys. This is really good chat. I have in this bag the Borglum bag.
Uh-huh.
The thing that I put in the bag beforehand, and it was actually leading back to the statement I made earlier that my choices were about kind of literature and film and stuff. When I was thinking of this topic, it was actually some like things that you didn't appreciate fully, things that were art or whatever. So that's what I'm thinking in my head, and did not translate it very well to you. But inside the bag is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. Don't read that when you're 12 and think that you're getting it.
Right.
I don't know what I thought. I was a proto-beatnik or something like that. I think I heard that some hipster or something.
Some musician probably referenced it or something. I had a similar situation with Bukowski.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, you're not meant to be like 13 and reading
No.
Bukowski. You're not going to get it. Yeah.
Whatever you take from it, you're taking it the wrong way, and you don't know what to do with it. That message at the time. Okay, so now I'm going to evaluate all the answers, and I'm going to psychoanalyze you guys, because Michael Winfield, I feel like in a way you're Danny Noonan in Caddyshack. It seems like you're sitting there observing the moneyed aristocracy hovering around you with their port wine and their golf and all their whiteness and all the establishment things like their Social Security, and the white-haired Ted Baxter, Ted Knight kind of character, Judge Smalls.
How about a Fresca, Danny?
And observing that and wondering, will I ever develop a taste for this life that is around me. And I think in a way, your position as a very youthful guy who's now a father, but that makes you wonder, you perhaps perceive that is inevitable, but will you be able to appreciate it when it comes, or will you have a taste for it is the question that you have. So
God,
I find that very fascinating. I find that fascinating. And Richard, I think it's all about returning ultimately to the womb, clearly.
That's what most of I'd say about 60 to 70% of my choices throughout the 3 seasons have been about that.
And when you said something, Mom always had something hot and warm waiting for you, that's when it solidified that for sure. No, it's the idea of coming home to absolute silence, alone, just having that element of your youth, even though you didn't enjoy it as a youth, the isolation, and welcoming that.
So it's about wanting stuff that I didn't really like as a kid.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, no, it's indicative of your childhood. Like the opportunities. Childhood was this time of opportunity where the sun had not set on your developing skills and things like that. So,
so it's before I got old and broken down.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I'll buy that.
You're
That's
looking
legit.
back to appreciate your youth, and I'm looking forward, fearing what the future is ahead of me.
Yeah.
And Jeff is like
Right there
right,
in
just
the soggy middle in a bowl of pasta and warm water.
I'm such an asshole. Okay. All right. So the things I thought that were really compelling, Social Security, that the amount of Sturm und Drang that you have over that, Michael, makes me kind of scared shitless because I didn't know that was going to happen. And Richard, the melancholy in some of your choices are really, really like being good at something. That was like a really compelling statement. It made me realize that's almost the opposite of every movie about kids. It's always about like learning that you are good at something or something like not watching each one of these doors of opportunity shut.
That's life, baby.
in sequence. I think there was a really nice Garrison Keillor-esque thing about your good shoes essay that you gave to us.
Good shoes.
Good shoes.
Shoes are...
And the golf bit, Michael, really appreciate the picture that's painted there and your association with your father. And
I'm 100% afraid I'm going to turn into my dad. Yeah. For sure. I totally recognize like the apple falling from the tree sort of business.
Yeah.
And then I turn around, I'm like, oh no.
Oh no.
And I love my dad to bits, but like, oh no.
Oh, your dad's a great dad. Your dad has a lot of character. He's not a plain
Your dad is
vanilla
a character.
dad.
My dad is a character.
Yeah. And
he needs to get on the show, by the way. Michael, let's make that
that'd be
happen.
great.
I'll talk to him.
And this pimpin' guy getting the senior discount, that's pretty sexy.
It's 5 choices there.
That's 5?
Edit went out.
Okay. Fuck that senior discount. Okay.
See you later.
Okay. This has been the Mount Rushmore of something you were too young to appreciate yet. My name is Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.